Shakespeare went to live amongst the Welsh, and she came back to us with stories. She's Jan's friend, and Jan and her had not met for 50 years. They were schoolgirls together, and 50 years go by before they meet up again. And Margaret is a great natural storyteller, and she told us all these stories. And I said, oh, you got to write them down, you've got to perform them. And she was too shy. So I just blatantly nicked this one and wrote it for her. It's called, oh, but that's another story. Her mother died given, oh no, I should actually say that in Wales you need licenses for things. And you need a license to walk your pet pig in Wales, and in England too. Oddly enough, you don't need a license to walk your pet pig in Scotland, although maybe it's just that they haven't thought of it. So this is about pet pigs and licenses. But that's another story. Her mother died giving birth, so from that day to this we considered her ours, one of the family. Okay, so she was a pig, Anna, but oh, such a pretty pig. And we kept her in the caravan, reared her as one of our own, almost considered her as human. Oh, the squeals of children and pig. Well, she grew and grew until the day came for her to be serviced. Our maiden pig, a fine Welsh white gilt. Now, being English amongst the Welsh, I knew you needed a license to move a pig from area to area. So I presented myself to our two-man police force. Well, of course they had licenses for the this of that or the that of this. But alas, no license for the moving of a pig. They had somehow run out. The licenses, Anna, not the pigs. So they gave me a license for a crane and crossed out the bit not pertaining to a pig. I thought they might ask me how many wheels on your pig or what type of machinery is your pig. But when it was done, a kind of Frankenform. Half crane, half pig. And I was free now to move my pig wheresoever I wished. And so I brought her to the boar. And then there was the time there was a pig born without an arsehole. Not an uncommon occurrence, they told me. And so I set off for the vets on my motorcycle and sidecar. Ah, but that's another story. This is not cute design. I was reading down in Brighton at a pig hog event, and my poems naturally combusted. And I might have had to do something that I kicked them into a nightlife by crossing my legs, but there's still enough of the poem actually left to decipher it. I guess this is how an archaeologist will find it years later. It's called Song of the Side. My uncle sits cross-legged, the shiny sickle of the side held in his hands as if he had pulled down a moon, wrestled it to the ground, tamed it. He looks like a friendly death having a tea break. Nothing dies in these seconds. The world holds its breath. The side winces with light so sharp it can cut thought. It cuts through what I am thinking now. The whetstone sings to the curve of the metal. It cuts through time, sharper, sharper each time my mind bleeds. It cuts through each successive second so that each second is separate from the rest. The song of the whetstone sings to the side, scares me. My uncle takes a horsehair from Dolly's tail, so softly she thinks it's still there. The side eagerly divides it into two. Dolly whinnies, nuzzles him affectionately. He runs his thumb along the blade. Blood stings in the air. He sucks it. Perfect, he smiles. Perfect. The world catches its breath. I was 12 when I met this lady. I was in school and our teacher had said, I hate teaching this woman, I can't understand her. I looked down and in a couple of dashes I was madly in love with Emily. And I took her hand, it was paper thin, and we ran through a sort of wood of words, and I've been running there ever since. So this is called Love Song for Emily Dickinson. It was her birthday just a couple of days ago. You handed me your eyes so that I could see as you saw. I looking in wonder, seeing you sew the world together in quick little stitches. A perfect embroidery of knowing, drawing the thread true and true until nimble as a needle, I knew as you knew. Oh, Emily, I was always in love with the beauty of your eyes and how they saw and said the world. The quick dashes of your mind like braille to my blindness, the Morse code of your thought, lead me through the labyrinth of you, bound in a nutshell, until I arrived at the beauty of your eyes, and you handed me your seeing, and I saw. And I'll finish with this one. called the Swan and Leda. You know that Zeus has a tendency to come down in the shower of gold, a bowl, swan, all that sort of stuff. It can all go terribly wrong. So this is it going terribly wrong. This is called the Swan and Leda. How like a god he comes, taking the shape and the form of a swan, who, having had his wicked way, longs to be on his merry way. But wait, what's this? He can't shake his fine feathers off. Feather upon downy feather locks him into the costume he had put on, and now can't be put off. What magic can this human woman weave? And now, having been taken, takes great pleasure in having her servant, a giant of a man among men, bugger the swan and be gone. And once the god is well and truly, he's plucked of all the finery of his feathers. Behold the god standing in the nude, shivering and ready for the pot. The final twist of this fatalistic plot, his beautiful neck. That night she dines upon the subtle, delicate breast of swan, served in a creamy pepper and garlic sauce. She even has an extra helping, thinking she can always exercise it off. Alas, poor Zeus, wishing he had chosen to pose in his usual tour de force, a shower of gold, but thinks too late, thinking even as he is eaten. And now she burps, pardon, sleeps and dreams of a god fit for a dish. Thank you.